Welcome to the Tom Matt Show. You are walking through the front door of the retirement zone. And now, your host, Tom Matt.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Thank you, Sandy, for bringing us in. Appreciate that so much. You know who Sandy is, right? Everybody knows who Sandy is. Last week, Craig Stiles, financial craziness. What else is new? What else is new in this world? It's always, if the market's not dropping by like 10% or going up by 5, or it's all fine. It's all good. Control what you can control. We talked about all kinds of fun things. Everybody's going through this. And Craig is not an exception, but he's got ideas, just like my bud today. Brock's back. Brock Fletcher, reality of real estate. I'm going to call this one the next big thing.
Okay. What
could be the next big thing in real estate? Well, we're going to find out here pretty quick because my buddy's going to be here. Now, I got, according to my notes here that are super old, because this is Brock's 24th appearance on this radio program. He's been in real estate almost 20 years. Pretty close. Starting in land surveying, moving into real estate sales. He had worked for Thistle Dew Properties for 8 years. Okay, this is a little history. Okay, because I don't do this that often. So just bear with me, everybody, will you please? In September 2010, Brock moved to Keller Williams Realty in East Lansing, where he was an associate broker. Okay, he's continually building his skill set in his pursuit to helping his clients, helping his team, and he has built a phenomenal organization with the selling team of Keller Williams. They're our team. They helped us sell Big House Holt. We've talked about that story. They helped us buy Little House Lansing. They've helped my next door neighbor get it. We'll talk about all this stuff. Okay, let's get on with it. But Brock has been with me a long time, and all of these real estate shows are really, really popular. So the next big thing, before we get to that, let's talk to Brock about family. How's things going? Welcome back, Brock. How are you, brother?
Well, I'm doing great. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. Things are well. My daughter Jenna is going to be graduating grad school in December, and she's got 2 wonderful clinical rotation opportunities, one this summer, one in the fall, to finish up her grad school. And then she'll pass her boards and she'll be a certified speech pathologist. So she's doing really awesome. Couldn't be more proud.
Where do you think Jen's going to wind up? Do you have any idea? I mean, I know kids just blast off everywhere. Does she have an idea?
I would guess that she'll end up staying in Grand Rapids. She'll get a great job opportunity there.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
So many young people, we could talk about the Grand Rapids real estate market, but so many young people want to go there. But the thing is like, I'm trying to encourage people to come to mid-Michigan because of the cost, and everything is relatively pretty good. Talk about your wife. How's Katie doing?
Doing great. Still a nurse at Sparrow Hospital, OBGYN nurse. Has been there for a long time, 23 years, I think she's been at Sparrow.
Have you ever asked her how many babies she's been involved with in her career?
Oh, I mean, there's a lot. Yeah.
Thousands?
Lot of babies. Probably not thousands. Well, maybe thousands. They see a lot of patients there. So yeah, a lot of babies, a lot of women's physicals as well over the years.
Oh yeah. So, oh yeah. And that's another thing about the health stuff, everybody. Getting your physicals is so important to have the numbers. Well, I've had conversations about this many times.
Well, I mean, there's something to be, this is a real estate conversation, obviously, but like legitimately, men and women get in for your yearly physicals, get your blood work done. I mean, that's, you catch stuff at regular screenings that that's preventative medicine. So
that's exactly right. Being proactive. I'm always like, instead of thinking reactive all the time, everybody, we got to really start to focus on being proactive. One thing about the university at Michigan State, I'm really thrilled to see that they're being proactive with their finances. They're being proactive with things. And so everything's moving in that direction. You have to be proactive instead of reactive because you could lose a lot of time. All right. The next big thing in real estate. Now, I know that's a big, broad title, obviously. What do you think, Brock? we're going to talk about all this stuff, and I want to, touch back about talking about Kendall Brooks from the last show when we come back from next segment. But let's talk about the next big thing in all that's happening. Step us through. You're regular on the show. What's been happening? What are you seeing? And let's kind of set this stage for this episode. So what do you think people want to listen? Why do people want to listen to this episode?
You said, what's the next big thing? I think the next big thing is going back to educating our children to get into home ownership in their 20s and not in their 30s. Honestly, I think it's almost going back to the basics and undoing some of the damage that's been done in terms of not preparing young people to be financially independent in their 20s. So,
I really like that whole thread because I had just had this conversation with our youngest daughter, who is a little older than Jenna. Lauren's like 27 now. And she rents our house in Wisconsin. Many people might know that a little bit, but we're angling to get her to buy something. And she said, because she really wants to get her own place. And, even though the house is like her own place, but I told her, Brock, she's like, well, Dad, I'm just going to rent something. And I just said, oh, stop right there. I want to eliminate that 4-letter R word from our vocabulary. I just say, no, we're not going down that road. That's just a complete waste of money. I'd rather see it put that. So we're figuring out within our family how we can, because she's saved money and I've encouraged her to save money and she's got some money in the bank, but she's going to need a little help. And so we got to get a strategy going here. So talk about the strategy of parents, because we do have the baby boomers who are refiring, and they are going down the road of having all of this income that they could perhaps give to their families. What do you think about that, Brock? Helping our young people by, at least encouraging them to get away from rent. Just stop talking about it.
I think renting serves a purpose only to the point of which you're eligible and should be buying a home. So, let's say you graduate high school at 18. Let's say you are off to college, and you're working part-time while you're going to college. Appropriate to live in a dorm, appropriate to have a college type apartment. You're saving, right? You get a job. Right when you graduate, you get an adult job, right? And you start saving, 10 to 20% of your yearly income, putting it towards emergency fund and putting it towards buying your first home. You're only renting until you have enough down payment money and you're going to be in an area for at least 5 years, and then you buy your first home. And if we were to teach, young people beginning at about their freshman year, even really 7th or 8th grade, start forecasting for them, this is what I'm grooming you towards, and preparing them for buying a home in their mid-20s, they would perform on that like 90+% of the time. Our children will live up to our expectations if we make them understand.
I totally agree with you. Brock, let me reset this. We're going to come up on break here. The next big thing, real estate, reality of real estate. Of course, if it's reality of real estate, it's Brock Fletcher, Slang Team, Keller Williams. We're going to talk about all these things. One thing I want to ask Brock when we come back, and we'll talk about this extensively, because we're talking about how to get our young people into buying homes, is I pulled up something on the all-knowing internet about down payment assistance and other first-time home buyer assistance that is out there. Let's kind of explore that a little bit, because this is the theme of the next big thing. We've got to go back to, as Brock said, being my subject matter expert with all of this, we have got to educate our children on saving money, the benefits, the huge benefits of home ownership. It's massive. You cannot have generational wealth if you do not own real estate. It will not happen, because if you continue to put $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 into a rent, if it's not serving your purpose, for your end game, then we got to reevaluate everything. Again, the next big thing, reality of real estate. Brock's here, Brock Fletcher. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you, Sandy, for bringing us in. This segment is sponsored by my guest today, Brock Fletcher, selling team of Keller Williams Realty. This is the word, okay? Trust. I want you guys to write this on the dash, embed it in your head. Take it from Tom. Take it from Sandy. Forget Tom. Take it from Sandy. All right. Sandy's the one. She's the most honest person in the whole wide world. You don't want to take it from me. Take it from her. Okay. She loves Brock. She loves Mike because they took care of us and really in times of need. And it's like, you got to have people you can trust. We were in a very vulnerable space. We wound up with 3 mortgages at one time. Tell me that wasn't vulnerable. But Brock got us through it. And I want you guys to get with him. 517, this is the office number. 517-853-6408. Remember, too, Reality of Real Estate, this is Brock's 24th appearance on this radio program because he's our guest today. There's so many topics and so many issues and so many things that you could talk about. Just go check out some of the podcasts. They're free. There's no cost there at all. You can also go to the kwsellingteam.com website. Check that out. But I want to give you the 2 numbers. Okay, the first one's the office number. 517-853-6408. And then the super secret, not so super secret, use this number, put this number, bury this number in your phone, 517-303-3262. If you see a house for sale, take a picture of it. Text it to 517-303-3262. That's the number. If you need some help, if you need some advice, if you need something like my former neighbor, Mikey, who wound up getting an extra 20 grand because he called Brock. I just gave him a suggestion, say, hey, call Brock. I have no idea what your house is worth. I'm not a real estate person, but I know somebody who is. And guess what? Signs in the yard, house is sold in a week. And he was really, really happy that he got, obviously, an extra $20,000. Okay, back to the episode today with my buddy, Brock Fletcher, Reality Real Estate. Love doing these episodes because it's so important. Between finance and real estate, I mean, what else is there? The next big thing, talking about, and this is such a great topic that Brock brought in here, going back to educating our young people into home ownership. So Brock, we started the thread here with all of this. And we talked about appropriate renting. That's fine, appropriately. Where are we falling down, in your opinion, with our young people as far as home ownership? What happened? When did things start to get a little squirrely? And how do we, because you got to define the problem before we can fix the problem. If our young people aren't buying homes, then we got to kind of talk about the problem. So can we peel that back a little bit, please? Where in your opinion, did this begin?
I think it began right around the year 2000. I was still I graduated high school in 1995. There was still that expectation that you were going to be self-sufficient relatively quickly after high school. But shortly thereafter is when it became a trend that every single graduate of high school should be going to college. We've seen huge increases in tuition. We've seen, mass debt incurrence, if you will, with young people going through college, financing their degree, finishing hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. When I put myself through college. I spent about 40 grand, roughly, a couple years of community college and off to MSU, kind of paid as I went, took a little bit of loan money as it went, but really didn't end up in too bad a shape student loan wise. But now if we were to have financed our daughter's college education, room, board, the whole deal, we would have been in for a couple $100,000 on that. And, it's really hard to come out on the plus side of $200,000 student loan without getting a great job right out of college. And a lot of our young people are not getting great jobs out of college. And some of it is opportunity based, but some of it is just laziness. I'm just going to be honest. It's just, you have to be a really hard worker and demonstrate that you're worthy of a great job. Nobody's just going to hand it to you. So the problem started probably, in my opinion, about 2000 when we quit and when we quit making our young people move out of the house at 18 and get on with life. I think that was a major mistake. And the number of people that I know now with a child that is 24, 25, 28, 30 living at home, you've just basically permanently crippled your child, right? If your 30-year-old's living with you, they're probably not going to surprise you and all of a sudden hit a home run and be a homeowner at 35. Unless they're saving money and you're setting up a specific plan. These hard conversations about what their life's going to look like really must start as a freshman in high school at the latest, right? With a long-term, hey, we're helping you get ready for life. You're going to be financially independent. We're going to help you get prepared for home ownership by the time you're 30 at the latest.
Take a break here because I'm gonna jump on that. One of the things, and I agree with you, our guest today is Brock Fletcher. We're talking to reality real estate. The next big thing. The theme is educating our young people and encouraging them to think about home ownership. The other thing that's missing with our high school kids is financial wherewithal. We're not teaching our kids. I mean, take a couple minutes. We got 2 minutes to go before we go to break here. But you're a huge Dave Ramsey guy. Okay, let's get on the Dave Ramsey pedestal because it works. Sure. Go ahead, talk about it, please.
Well, I like Dave's teachings. Dave's very smart, great at teaching people how to get out of debt. I'll be honest, I don't know what the high school curriculum is anymore. I know when I was there, we had junior achievement, which was a financial-based curriculum, generally taught by a local business person that would volunteer their time. And we also had classes in high school that taught us how to run businesses. And I think Scott Warner, I believe. Yeah, Scott Warner was that teacher for me at Eaton Rapids. We had a class where the whole purpose of the class was to design a business, which was running a 3-on-3 basketball tournament.
Very well.
We created stock. All the students in the class were able to purchase the stock. We all had specific jobs. We ran a successful 3-on-3 tournament. We split the profits by the stockholders. And, it was learning how to invest, run a business, work hard. Scott was, maybe he'll listen to this and get a smile. Scott was a cool teacher and a hell of a coach. I didn't wrestle, and he made those guys work their butts off, right? They won several state championships. So, but what I'm getting at is I don't know what they're teaching in high school, but we do have to teach young people how to be financially successful if we expect them to do it, right? And, you look at the average consumer debts over 20 grand a family. Are we really teaching our young people to live a debt-free existence if we're all carrying 20 grand worth of credit card debt? Chances are we're not having those conversations, but we are talking about pop culture, which is completely irrelevant, right?
Right, exactly. I want to come back to that too when we come back about savings, because I had a kind of story I want to share with you with my grandson, Bam Bam, on money. And he's 9 years old, and he's already starting to think about being a banker. His dad's into money. He's a finance guy. And when we go to stores, I'll tell you the story when we come back because we're going to go to break here. Brock's here, Brock Fletcher, reality real estate, the next big thing, Bam Bam and saving. Stick around. Gotta check this one out. It's the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us either on the stream, on the video, or on the broadcast. Thank you so much. We're all over the place with our shorts and good things happening. Brock Fletcher's with us. Reality of real estate, the next big thing. Brock, when people want to get a hold of you, I told the numbers before, but please go ahead and emphasize your takes, where you want people, how you do your phone calls, how you do return emails, all that kind of stuff. Please take a couple seconds and share how you want people to get a hold of you.
I really prefer, that they reach out to me on my cell phone, whether it be a phone call or a text. I'll return that communication, every day. It's 517-303-3262. Pardon me. That's the best way to get me. It's going to guarantee you the quickest response.
303-3262. Okay. Let me say it one more time. 517 303-3262. Use that number. One thing about Brock, I like bragging on him because I'm a former, phone tech. He changes his greeting every day. He's a pro when it comes to this kind of stuff. One of the very few people I've ever seen do this, and I've coached many, many, many people on doing this kind of stuff. He's one of the few that I've ever seen be so consistent with this thing. And it really shows the professionalism. Really, really does show the professionalism. All right, back to the episode. The next big thing, we're talking about educating our kids, getting them to at least be good with buying something, buying a home. So we left the previous segment. I was tell a quick story about my grandson, Bam Bam. He's going to be 10 years old in August, but the kid is like, they did a thing at school recently where they did a job thing and a job shadow, and he was the banker. Okay. He was in his tie. He had all his stuff. He was so into it that he was just going to be a teller at the bank. I mean, they actually went to the bank. He was so sharp, they put him in the VP's chair. He was loving life so much. He was just like, you got to save money. So when we go shopping, I say, okay, and a lot of times his mom and dad will pay us back for stuff. It's like, okay, you have a budget. You got $50 or $10 or $100 or whatever. Give them a budget, give them a number so that it's just not like going to go in here and you're just going to buy whatever the hell they want, especially because things are so expensive. So these kids get it. So first thing we talk about on the way to the store or the outlet mall, and we go over to Wisconsin. What's the budget? What's the budget? What's the budget? So Brock, getting back to all of that, and I wanted to touch on too with Scott Warner. You mentioned him last segment. Scott Warner and I are very, very, very close. I mean, he is one of my best friends I met him in 7th grade and we spent.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. We wrestled together in high school, junior high. I mean, he's played football together. He played baseball together. I mean, he is one of my besties. For him, for you to talk about his class like that does not surprise me whatsoever. Look at you now. You built your business. In high school, you're doing these business classes with a Scott Warner. Again, I want to just go back and just say how impactful that was for you. How did that affect you and your decisions and you wanting to get in business? Because I know how Scott is. Go ahead.
I mean, Scott, not only was he a nice person, he was very relatable, or is very relatable as a teacher. And he was not easy. And if you played a sport for him, I mean, he was, I would say like a disciplinarian, if you will. But Scott just he knows a lot about business. And he came up with really creative ways to use real life demonstration to teach things. And, the basis of that class was, I don't even remember the name of the class, but the whole class from day one through the end was developing a concept, launching a business, funding the business by way of, stock sale, running the successful business, which was a 3-on-3 tournament, a big tournament, many, many teams, created a lot of opportunity for the school to make money as well off of, vendor sales and things of that nature. But those types of things are important, right? It's teaching young people how to run a business, how to be financially responsible with money. And Scott put in a couple rules. I tried to go buy the stock from the other. I could see that we were going to be very successful. And I tried to go buy the stock from some of my classmates because I thought the dividend was going to be pretty high. And Scott's like, we're not doing it. We're all going to learn the same lesson. I can't let you go buy the other people's stocks. So, he had some rules and none of it was malicious, of course. It was just, I was captivated by that type of thing and wanted to be financially successful. So
I'm so glad you just said that. If you want something, if you want to be financially successful, then do the foundational work so that you can be financially successful. It's not going to happen by magic. And this is the whole thing about all this incremental change. I'm working with a kid this summer now, Brock, that at the gym and getting his head straight, but the small wins list, achieving small wins, getting little accomplishments, all of these things, they all add up. Thank you for sharing that story with Scott Warner. Scott Warner is one of the best educators. Not only was he a great wrestling coach and athletic director at Eaton Rapids High School, but he's also an outstanding
softball too.
Oh man, guy's a great softball coach. I mean, he just dominated. Hey, I want to talk about, since we're talking about going back and educating our kids with this episode, the next big thing in the reality of real estate. Let's step back. We got a couple minutes before we go to break here and talk about the last episode that we had with Kendall Brooks. Just real quick about this, and we can carry this through if we need to, Brock. But that whole situation with him, that was such a good episode. He's such a sharp guy. Did you know when you brought him in as an intern what you were getting in for?
Not really, because you don't really know until you get to spend a lot of time with somebody. But the thing I knew about Kendall from going through the interview process was he worked in his family logging business, as a child through the teenage years. And there was that expectation that he was going to be a really hard worker. And when you meet Kendall in person, you can tell people have a way about them, right? You knew you were meeting somebody who was an adult and that was a confident person and, was comfortable with who he was as a person. So when you meet people like that you just know they're going to be a success no matter what. They can live with the ramifications of life, however it plays out.
So we'll continue because we got a minute to go before we go to break here. But the reason I brought that up is not only is Brock has been educating these Michigan State athletes and students through his internship program, which is very unique. He brings in all of these students. This is part of the educational process. He's not just talking about, we're going back and educating our kids on how to buy a home. He's actually doing the work with the students at Michigan State University. How many students have you had approximately go through your internship program?
I would say it's been about 20 now. Okay. 17 to 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're always looking for new students and also new people if you want to get educated. And Brock and I we had whole shows about this, everybody, where you may not have to go to college. You could maybe go get the 2-year degree, but why couldn't you go to like a community college, get some classes, but you could go over and get some lessons or get some training from Brock and the team over at the selling team and go that direction too, and not have such a big debt load. Because I believe that the problem, like you said earlier, Brock, is the student loan debt is what's killing our young people. They see that giant number and they're, I can't afford it. I can't afford it. The thing is we got to convince our young people, listen, you can't afford not to. You need to figure out either tighten it up somewhere else. If you're already paying $1,500 a month in rent and you want to try to get ahead, you got to try to get some equity built in your life. The only way you're going to get equity built in your life is by talking to Brock and going through the selling team and getting with them, because if you don't, you're going to miss the boat here. And I'm telling you, the opportunities are there. Get started in your 20s. Don't wait till your 30s. Okay, resetting. Brock Fletcher's here. Reality of real estate. The next big thing. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262 or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you, Sandy, for bringing us in. Fourth segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by my guest today, Brock Fletcher, the selling team of Keller Williams Realty. 517-853-6408. That's the office number. Brock's cell phone number, and this is what he prefers, 517-303-3262. Go online to kwsellingteam.com, kwsellingteam.com. You can go to our website, tommattshow.com. At the bottom of the website, there he is. Click on through. You're looking for the Reality Real Estate episodes, those 20 plus. We've got 20. This is his 24th episode. So there's at least 20 of them over there. Go check them out. They're all free. You're going to sell your home without hassles like we did when we bought Little House Lansing through Mike Dedman. Thank you, Mikey, for doing that. It was a great, great experience. And I want you guys to really latch on to it, because most agents start marketing after they get your listing. And in today's environment, you need to know that these professionals are out there working for you before they get your business. They're not waiting. They're out there. They're working. They're grinding. This guy, Brock Fletcher, is one of the hardest grinding guys I know. And I mean, they are out there doing their thing. So get with them. Phone numbers, once again, 517-853-6408 or 517-303-3262. Online, KW Selling Team, kwsellingteam.com. The next big thing in real estate. Brock's here. Reality of real estate. Been all over the place with his stuff. Talked about Kendall Brooks and the internships. I got a couple of stats here, and then I'm gonna pick Brock's brain, because when I asked him the question, I said, "What's the next big thing, Brock?" He immediately came up with, "We got to educate our young people. We got to get our young people buying homes. We got to get people. We just got to get them." And I 1,000% agree. We're doing the same thing with Lauren right now. We're doing exactly the same thing with her. Is I want to get rid of the renting. She's been renting from us. Want to get rid of that. Get her into buying. Okay. This is coming off the all-knowing internet from the Business Insider, May 9th. April, the average mortgage rate was 6.71%. Median home values are up 2.7% over the year at $403,700. Now, I don't know where that is, if that's just a national. Do you think that's a national?
The national.
Okay, so a national average. So, hearing those numbers, if that's a national average, Brock, how do we encourage people to think about mid-Michigan, not Grand Rapids, not Detroit, not anywhere else? We're talking about mid-Michigan here. How do we convince them that those numbers that I just mentioned, that average of $403,700 are a little bit high? But go ahead. Tell people why they really want to consider here.
Well, if your life is here, if you've got a great job here, this is a great place to grow roots. Our average sales price here is about $225,000. If you're, and I think too, setting the expectation, if you're a first-time home buyer and you're in your early 20s, most people work up to what they would call like their dream home. My first home was a home I paid $79,000 for on Foster Street in Lansing, like a 1900s Cape Cod style home, shared driveway with a neighbor, kind of a deal. And it was a starter home, right? Now that same type of starter home probably would go for about $150 right now. If I could go buy the same home right now, it'd be about $150, give or take a couple of dollars. Still an affordable starter home. I do think that we've got, unless you're buying your first home in your 30s and you've been making $100,000 or $150,000 combined if you're married, you probably should be buying a starter home and not targeting your forever home, right? And just because you lived in your parents' forever home doesn't mean that that's where you start, right? It's fine to start in a 1900s built home, work your way up. That's how life is. There aren't very many people that just start out right on third base, right? There's a benefit to working your way up that feeds desire, motivation, accomplishment. Like, I don't mean to jump topics here, but like mental health is like the worst it's ever been. And I think it's part of it is because we're not, we have so much abundance that that people are not working their way up like they were before. They just have everything. And when you just have everything, you're likely to be depressed when things don't go perfectly or boredom sets in, right? It's really hard to be depressed or bored when you're working your butt off towards the pursuit of a goal. And I'm not picking on anybody. I'm not picking on anybody at all. I recognize there are real mental health issues. I recognize the pandemic was difficult, but I also recognize that much of how people feel good about themselves is tied to hard work and having a definitive purpose for their life. If you are not living a purpose-filled life, you're probably going to struggle with depression. You have to be a contributing member of society.
That is absolutely 1,000% agreeable. As a matter of fact, I have what I call my foundational work with my life, and purpose is my number one pillar of my 4 pillars. Purpose is absolutely, and that can change for you. All right, Brock, very good, very, very good statements all there about all of this. Going back to the theme of today, the next big thing, and educating is obviously huge. What do you think is the next big thing secondary to the educating in the real estate? What in the prognostication, you know how I like to do this with you, looking into the crystal ball. Go ahead. That was so good. I'm hoping you got another one like that.
I don't, this is a tougher one for me. The next big thing needs to be part of the solution for creating more inventory and housing. In a lot of these questions, the next big thing is going to come from a company or an idea or an initiative with tremendous reach and financial capabilities to create the next big thing. You have certain companies, you have certain people, you have certain organizations that have the kind of power to change something, right? Like create something brand new. And then we get to kind of live in that benefit or live in that world where we get to make a difference. Do I think I'm a reasonably intelligent human being? Yes, I do. Do I think I'm about as driven as anybody on the planet? Absolutely. Do I think I'm capable of, and I'm just like, I don't, whether you like him or not is irrelevant, but like Elon Musk has built some things that are like, you have to be a genius to do some of these things, right? You have to be such a possibility thinker. I'll be honest, I could not have built, like Tesla or SpaceX or whatever, like that would be beyond my capabilities. Now, I can take something that is well understood and make it very good. I can live in a world where there's a great idea and through hard work and determination, make something great about it, right? Which I think is most Americans, right? I'm like most Americans. I can be very successful, right? But we need people that are genius level to create other types of opportunities. Our problem is so big with inventory, and affordability is so, like, the cost of new homes is so unaffordable that it's going to take a massive idea that is scalable to solve our problem of lack of inventory. So the next big thing better be cheaper than how we build currently and create more opportunity for people to buy homes affordably.
All right, I got ideas. I got all kinds of ideas I want to talk to Brock about here, but we're coming up on it, so I got to wait for a second here. Stick around because I'm going to ask Brock. I got just a couple of ideas that just sort of floated into my head here. It's like, all right, what about this and what about that? Because he's right. If we don't get more inventory, the price is never going to come down because it's a supply and demand. I mean, it's very simple economics. So I 100% agree with all of this. And it's like, let's play with the ideas because I think that there's potential. I'm just going to throw it out there, and we'll talk about this when we come back. All of this commercial property that's out there that's vacant, that's been sitting there, that people are waiting on money, is there a way to utilize those spaces and retrofit them in a cost-effective way? I've seen really cool things happening here in mid-Michigan where my former junior high school is now all housing. It's a beautiful setup. They retrofitted this. I've seen schools. I know a young woman we helped recently who's a good friend of ours is living in an old elementary school, repurposing these older buildings. This is the Tom Matt Show.
For more information on the Tom Matt RFZ mentality, please visit our brand new website at www.tommattshow.com. Subscribe to our podcast via your favorite podcast platform. Visit our brand new YouTube channel for consistently motivating messaging. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Welcome to the Tom Matt Show.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. If you want to get a hold of me, Sandy, Brock, anyone that's on any topic, we get a lot of notes. I get tons of comments on YouTube all the time now. Our YouTube is really taking off. We're almost at 3 million views, which I find kind of hard to believe because it took us so long just to get to 1 million. But it's just like we're getting more and more comments. That's the way it works. More and more comments with this. If you need to get a hold of us, our website, tommattshow.com, contact box, you can go there. You can leave me a comment on YouTube. You can, whatever floats for you. Our Instagram, I get messages on Instagram, Facebook, all this stuff. LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn all the time. All right. Today, our guest today is Brock Fletcher, Reality Real Estate, the next big thing. Brock's given us two really great things to chew on. Going back and educating our young people, that was number one. Both of these are just massive. But going back and educating our young people, Brock, that was a great idea. I mean, we have to kind of really buy into this whole thing. And isn't it on us as adults? Don't we have to own this a little bit? I mean, I've written articles about this. We've kind of shirked our responsibilities as parents, haven't we, a little bit?
I think we made it too easy.
Agreed. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. We made it too easy. So kids and expectations, we have set the bar so high for them. They're living in luxury. Why in the hell would they want to move out? We're making it too nice. Okay. Not that we're going to be, complete tools, but as parents, we want to make our kids self-sufficient. That's the whole thing. Get them to launch, just like Jenna's doing, just like Brock's daughter, who has gone through school, done it the right way, taken her time, got a great program, figured out a program. Boom, she's going to get hired immediately. And that's the whole thing about education. If you can't get a job right out of college with that, what you're spending all this money on, what are you doing? Okay. All right. I got a couple ideas. Brock, in the world today, I always thought that there was the next possible 2008 problem that we might have in our country was all of these empty buildings, all these giant high rises all over the place with nobody in them because people were working remotely. Is it possible that we can start leveraging the commercial flips and putting people, I know it's happening because I mentioned the Walter French thing and the other elementary schools that are out there. Is it possible to maybe that could be a potential?
Yeah. I mean, and that project is a beautiful project that was done. A lot of it governmental money financed that project, and it's designated for low income housing. So, we definitely have multiple needs. Now that doesn't create opportunity for home ownership, but it does create opportunity for affordable housing, which is also important. So, the answer is yes, Tom. We're probably going to see more and more, whether they be old schools or commercial buildings that could be repurposed for residential housing. But most of those that I've seen are for rent versus for purchase. I mean, I suppose some of them they make them into condos and go that route, but we always need places for people to live. But I don't know that fixes our
the inventory.
That doesn't necessarily help people into home ownership.
Right. No, that's a good point. And that's a really good point. We need to get people stable. And if we can get them into affordable housing, maybe you can start saving some money. What about I've seen the tiny home stuff and the small footprint and these new subdivisions and that are master planned. Is that something that you see could be appropriate, especially for us growing older population? A lot of these master planned communities, like the villages, are massively popular.
That's I don't know if a lot of it comes into what is the appetite of most consumers, right? Now, if you go back to the 1940s, 50s, 60s, how many 1,000 square foot ranch style homes were built in the city of Lansing? 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, unfinished basement, just 1,000 square foot modest homes. Thousands, millions of those homes were built, through the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. the appetite really changed, in the 1990s and after 2000 to go to these bigger homes. So it would take a taste to change in terms of with the American people, that they would go back to living in a smaller home, even kids sharing a bedroom, bunk beds. I mean, my sister shared a room. I think there were even times where I shared a room with my sisters, right? And those were things that people used to do that you hardly ever hear of now, or, God forbid you only have one bathroom, right? And then 5 people in a home have to share a bathroom. People lived differently back then, right? And, if we went back to building 1,000 square foot houses, that's not a tiny house. And yet that would change affordability to some capacity. That could create some opportunity for like the 3D printing of homes and things of that nature that are legitimate. Again, it just requires people to change the way that they live in order to come up with a different future, right? So it's a lot of possibilities. It just comes down to honestly, a lot of it comes down to governmental initiative. What does the government want to see done? What will they support in terms of zoning regulation? And will people buy it, right?
Yep.
In order to do tiny housing in most of Michigan, it would require zoning changes. In most cases, in most communities, minimum square footage for a home is like 800 square feet. Most of the tiny houses are 400 to 500, 600 square feet. So it requires zoning changes. It requires, honestly, more deviation from current zoning regulations.
I think we get stuck. Our guest today, everybody's Brock Fletcher, Reality Real Estate, the next big thing. We get stuck in this, we've done it this way forever mindset, and it just stays that way. We've always done it this way. We're always going to do it this way. All right. That's fine. 3D printing of homes. That is interesting. Have you actually seen or heard stuff about this? Is that something that is on the horizon down there with the tech stuff? I mean, that's very, very interesting thought.
Yeah, it is real. Like FEMA has 3D printed homes. I've never been in one, but it is a thing. It's a possibility. I don't know how scalable it is or anything like that. Obviously, it's a very simple design. But yeah, it is possible to do that, and they do it.
Brock, do you think that this that big money that got into buying up vacant homes, and I'm talking about investment money, like big money, got into it, and that kind of elevated the cost of these homes? It kind of sucked up some of the supply, and is that something that we should be anticipating moving forward?
Not in our location.
Good to know.
It's some areas of the country, yeah, there's tremendous inflow of wealth to develop and things of that nature. I mean, if and this is just a small, like, let's take Orlando as an example, right? In mid-Michigan, we'll have just over 6,500 sales in the course of an entire year. Orlando, there's over 6,000 house sales a month.
Ooh.
Right. So you're just talking about, a few million people in a geographic area. That right, mid-Michigan, 400,000 people living in a 30-mile radius with a very predictable amount of real estate exchange each year. Every market is so different. That's why when we look at national statistics, they just tell such a, you can take the averages, but the averages don't mean a whole lot, right? It is something that can give you an overall health score, for like an entire market. Like, is the market improving? I mean, on a national level, but community to community is really, everything has its own story. A new employer to an area can be a dynamic game changer. I still don't know, and I think it's weather-based, but why is it that such a beautiful state like Michigan can't attract a top company like Microsoft or, some other cutting edge company to come do something special here. You know, at one point, Austin, Texas had 2,000 new people moving there a day, right? We haven't seen a significant attracted employer to mid-Michigan in my whole life. Every year we graduate 10,000 people from Michigan State University and all of them leave, right? What are we doing wrong? No offense to the government people here, plenty of blame to spread around. Why don't we have any meaningful growth in mid-Michigan when it's probably, I mean, every time I travel, I say it's not better than Michigan. We literally live in the most beautiful state in the United States. Drive 1 hour, you're in paradise. Drive no more than an hour and 10 minutes in every direction, you're at a great lake. How are we not, like, and by all means, don't move here. I love what we're doing here, but what are we doing wrong to not have growth here in a meaningful way?
That is a perfect close to this episode. The next big thing in real estate, Brock Fletcher, going back to educating our kids, and we need more inventory and other things we talked about. If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be of service to you through our guests because we are servant leaders here. Sponsorships are available. If you want to hit us up, it's got to be a fit. It's got to be a fit. Thanks to Brock for being with us, Sandy, Craig, everybody that's helped support this show, Mitch, Vanessa. Lastly, I want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you. And always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. Have a great week, everybody. We are out.
The Tom Matt Show is produced by Mitch Anderson of Black Circle Studios. Original music from The Source of Light and Power by The Ark of All.